Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to look at pattern, which is a principle of design. And we're going to start out with a definition, which is pretty self-explanatory, and I'm sure you guys have heard or know what pattern is. But here it goes. It is lines, shapes, and colors repeated in a variety of predictable combinations. So starting with our first type of pattern, which is a regular pattern, we can start creating some examples here that will be easy to recreate. So one of the easiest patterns that you can possibly make is a checkerboard pattern, a striped pattern, anything that repeats in a very predictable way. So I'm going to make a checkerboard pattern here that sort of resembles the grid that I have oops, that's not what I wanted to do. It's a completely different situation when you're working on an iPad and not with a pencil like I would expect you guys to be working. So let's see if we can. Oh, it doesn't work. I wonder why. Fun and games. Fun and games. In any case, what I'm thinking that you might be doing is literally filling in each square. And it's good practice for me and for you to try to color nice and neat. Of course, when you're doing it on the iPad, you are running into all kinds of other issues.
I'm Dr. Reza Vafados, a cardiologist with the FCPP, First California Physician Partners.
So
Shortness of breath, chest pain or pressure, unusual heartbeats and swelling of your arms or legs are all
I want you to look
symptoms of
around
heart disease.
your room
FCPP
right now
physicians are
and
here to answer
try
your
to pick
questions
out
and
any
help
kind of
protect your
patterns
heart.
that you
To make an
see
appointment, call
in the room that are
1-855-93-HEART.
basically repeated patterns. See how fast you can pick out some patterns that are constantly repeating. So I'm sure you get the idea that this whole thing will just literally be filled in with every other little square. I'm just going to fill in half of mine, but hopefully you guys get the idea that you need to be doing yours completely. I'm just trying to save time so we don't sit here and watch me forever. Sometimes this is more like watching paint dry. Another kind of regular pattern that you might see are things that you might find in clothing designs, where you have maybe some zigzag lines and maybe some straight lines like this, and then again some zigzag lines. Now if you got yourself a composition book with grids, guess what? Your work is halfway done, because there's very little that you have to think about in this case. So you could add to this pattern. You can make it even more ornate. I mean, in real life, you might want to add some more little embellishments here and there, just to make it more interesting. I think that most of the time, the more you add, the better the artwork can become. So hopefully you get the idea. Now for this last box right here, I want you to literally do your own pattern, because I am sure that you have a billion ideas on how to approach doing patterns, especially these regular patterns. Another kind of pattern there is, it's called a radial pattern. Now, radial patterns are any kind of patterns that basically start in the center of a design and radiate out from the center. And the pattern is, once again, quite predictable. Or one that mirrors and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about in just a moment when we move on to the next pattern, and I'm talking about the mirroring. So this is somewhat of a star. It's not very fancy, it's just an idea, but you get the idea that it is radiating, and it is repeating, right? So you can add even more stuff. So another kind of pattern, like I was saying a minute ago, is one that is repeating, but at the same time it's sort of like mirroring. So let's say that you have this over here. You would have to have the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, now over here I want to put this, so I would have to put exactly the same thing on the other side. So now it's radiating, but it is not necessarily repeating in like a regular way like it is in this very first box. So it's still a radial pattern, but the way that it's done, it's slightly different. Okay. So you can embellish this and you can add to this as much as you want until you are satisfied with your design. So once again, in this next last box, I want you to do your own, because I'm sure you can come up with even a better example than mine. Irregular patterns are patterns that have some sort of predictability to them, but they're not necessarily perfectly repeating. Okay, so in other words, you're not going to see just one straight line after another. You're not going to see, the zigzag lines or the geometric lines repeating in a perfect kind of fashion. Irregular patterns are usually things that you will find in nature. So think about the wood grain that you see on a table or on a cabinet. So this will be something that resembles a wood pattern. So like I said, these are patterns that you would find in nature. So like the bedrock on the riverbed, maybe the blades of grass going in different direction, the pattern of the leaves on the tree, the bark on the tree, the stripes on a zebra. All of those things are literally what I'm referring to as irregular patterns or patterns that you will find in nature. Okay, so another example, like I said earlier, would be maybe something that reminds us of the zebra. I'm gonna find another pencil so that I can give myself a little bit more. This is not the pencil that I want. Let's see. Maybe the artist crayon. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay. Maybe not that thick. Okay, so this one is good. So this one, the beauty about zebra stripes is that I don't think you can go wrong with them. You can play around with the line because it varies in thickness. Okay, so sometimes it's thinner, sometimes it's thicker. So One way to actually do this with your pencil is to do it with the edge of your pencil. So not with the tip, but with the edge. Okay. So that's good for now. And then for the last one, I want you to do your own once again. All right. So that's basically your pattern. Hopefully, you get the idea that this checkerboard should be filled out completely, because nothing is more satisfying than to see a completed worksheet and everything looking really nice. Now, if you decide that maybe these radio patterns that I have here are not exactly your cup of tea, maybe you can come up with something even better than mine. I'm not really putting much thought into it at this point, because these are just quick examples. You can change them up. You can make them slightly different. But I would love for you to try the wood grain and maybe the zebra pattern, simply because sometimes those are a lot of fun to try out. All right, so hopefully you guys are working diligently on doing your interactive notebooks and make this pattern worksheet look as good as you can possibly can.